Hi there, this is David and welcome to the Top 20 PlayStation 2 Towns, Part 2. If you missed my previous Top 20 Towns video for the PlayStation 2, please check for the link in the video description. There, I counted down the top 20 to 11 towns for the system, and here I'll be continuing the countdown with the traditional top 10 towns. So, let's take a stroll down memory lane, shall we? Number 10, Radiata Beacon of Tales of Legendia. This game has its fair share of problems, don't get me wrong, but the character development and watching the NPCs grow in your hub town is not one of them. Throughout the course of the game, you'll get to know the residents on a personal basis as they eventually open up to you, give you side quests, and become ingrained in the fabric of the story. The layout, architecture, and design is very unique. I love how natural and rounded everything is. There are no right angles at all in this town. It just flows together beautifully like a river. Speaking of the water motif, the stacked seashell plaza overflowing with waterfalls is beautiful, even though it is plagued with those idiotic Elvis rip-off Bantam bouncers. They're just a bit touched. I mean, in what other JRPG do you get serenaded on a regular basis by all sorts of randoms? While I dreaded the dungeons of this game, the town was a shining beacon in the darkness. Number 9, Petrograd of Shadow Heart's Covenant. I love the Shadow Heart series. It's similar to Grandia insofar as it began on the PlayStation 1, then fell off the face of the earth when the PlayStation 2 died, which really is a shame because there's just so much that JRPG developers could do with games based off of history. Yuri and the crew will be jumping all over the Eurasian continent, exploring fantastic towns in great detail, and meeting up with colorful characters who follow you to the ends of the earth. Like many other games on this list, I had a hard time narrowing down the list of towns to just one, but if I did have to pick, it would be Petrograd. Not just because a super hot character joins you here, or because you meet up with those two hysterical queens, but just because so much goes on. Upon entering, you'll switch control over to little Anastasia, the Romanov princess who is trying to uncover Rasputin's sinister plot. She gets pretty far on her own, exploring the massive palace along with the snow-covered streets, but when the shit hits the fan, Yuri comes in for the rescue. Number 8, Twilight Town of Kingdom Hearts 2. I loved themed areas, and here you have a town that's perpetually bathed in a gorgeous cotton candy sunset and filled to the brim with interesting characters as well as nobodies. The town is where you first meet Roxas and his pals as they face off against Cypher and his gang in the struggle before Sora and company drop into town. I love the scenes on the clock tower as you eat ice cream and overlook the sprawling world and all of its districts, the busy market street full of shops, the beautiful central station with its trains and other districts and areas. There's also Tram Common and the back alley. I had a lot of fun skateboarding all over the place and pulling off tricks, as well as climbing roofs to look for hidden treasures. You can tell that a lot of love was put into Twilight Town to make it truly feel full, unique, and alive. It's a fantastic town with a great mismatch of classic characters. Number 7, the Georama of Dark Cloud 2. A town minigame in a video about towns? Yes, please! While this might not be one true town, I don't care. It's my video and I'll do what I want. There's really only one true town in this game, your starting town, Palm Springs, which is great in and of itself, but the towns that I really truly love are the ones that you build yourself with the Georama. It's kind of like ActRaiser on steroids. The game gives you an open area in order to create your town, then it's up to you to make your inhabitants want to move there. This is accomplished by putting in all sorts of accoutrements to attract them, such as trees, fencing, chimneys, pots, weather vanes, and benches. The things that you can build are just simply endless, and once you do finally complete the Georamas to 100%, you get bonus items, and you can then visit the towns in the future to see who does move there, what it looks like, how it turns out, and how your old friends are doing in their new homes. Number 6, Fifth Jerusalem in Xenosaga 3. Xenosaga joins many other RPG series in the Hall of Shame because, again, they fell off the face of the earth after the death of the PlayStation 2. It's such a terrible trend, and I hope that these series are revisited in the current generation, but at least it lives on somewhat in the fantastic Xenoblade franchise now on Nintendo. But that's enough about that. Let's talk about the towns. Fifth Jerusalem is a reference to Lost Jerusalem, or Earth, the location of which has now been, of course, lost. So the city serves as the current capital of the Galaxy Federation, and its impressive size, towering above the surface of the planet, is unlike anything I've ever really seen in an RPG. Shion first arrives from space and docks at an orbital tower attached to the ground through an elevator attached to the surface and soaring out into space. Here you can see out into the sea of stars and down to the planet below, and once you do reach the surface, you get a view of not only the tower, but the imposing gigantic city sprawled all around it. After looking at this, it's no wonder that one of my biggest disappointments in gaming was the premature cancellation of this franchise. Number 5. Radiata of Radiata Stories. Seriously, this could be one of the greatest towns in any game that I've ever played. I mean, the entire game is about the town. You can spend hours roaming around the kingdom just to stalk the 200 plus characters to see what crazy stuff they get up to over the course of the day. Every facet of the kingdom is fleshed out and bustling with activity, and every character has unique personalities of their own. It's not like you get 44 carbon copies of the exact same character. Anyway, you can pretty much recruit almost every character in the town as your ally. As a fan of the genre, I can really tell that this game was a labor of love, because the amount of work that went into it is just immense. You really feel like you're in an actual city. And also, who hasn't wanted to go around kicking the ever-loving shit out of some annoying-ass NPCs? Well, here, your dream can come true. Number 4. Luca of Final Fantasy X. Xanarkand comes in a close second because it's just so frickin' cool when you first see it. Then after Tidus gets shot back to Besaid Island at the beginning of the game, the rest of the plot pretty much just revolves around getting back to Xanarkand and unraveling the mysteries of the place. But Luca wins overall because here is where the game really begins to take off. As the second biggest town in all of Spira, Tidus and the gang arrive for the Blitzball tournament, but there's so much more here than just that, especially because the cutscenes make playing the game look so awesome, but then when you actually do get a chance to play it, you're going to quickly realize that it actually sucks and it's just another annoying minigame to just ignore. More importantly though, here you'll first meet up with the main antagonist, Maester Seymour, learn about the Guado, meet up with Auron, who tells you everything that you need to know about the Guardians, Father, Sin, and the reason why Tidus was sent to Spira in the first place. Number 3. Argonia of Dragon Quest VIII. It's no secret that I'm a huge Dragon Quest fan. I was raised on it after all, and Dragon Quest VIII is the culmination of what I always dreamed the series would be. Every single town in the entire game is spectacular. I could do an entire video on all of them, and I'm still going to give a special shout out to Tiryn Gully, the town of monsters. But I guess if I really did just have to pick one, I would say Argonia takes the cake. It's just the most memorable to me. From the bustling bazaar filled with items to buy for the alchemy pot, to the massive castle to explore, to actually letting your criminally underutilized pet have its moment in the sun by freaking out that fat oaf Prince Charmless. I really do love the coming-of-age storyline involving him. It's a humorous break from the seriousness of the story. How he follows you around, complaining the entire time, attempting to ride Medea, then he buys the fake Argon heart, and then awesomely gets called out by his father for lying in front of the entire court. It's just so satisfying. Number 2. Inaba of Persona 4. I hope you people in the comments are happy. I have a Persona game on this list. This might be cheating a bit though, since the entire game kind of takes place in this city. But it did something that most games are unable to do. It made it feel realistic. Set in the rural Japanese countryside in the middle of nowhere where it rains all the time, many of the residents complain that there's nothing to do. But nothing could be further from the truth. The town is packed with places to go and people to see. Also, watching the seasons change is a nice touch, and that awesome music didn't hurt either. Inaba has got it all: beautiful scenery, friendly people, Easter eggs to discover, and a few fun hangout spots, if you can avoid getting murdered. Unfortunately, there really isn't all that much freedom within the town as far as gameplay is actually concerned, but the bits of story and social link scenes that unfold here give it a familiar yet comfortable feel. The normality of it provides a nice contrast to the weirdness of the main plot. And finally, number 1, Rabanastre of Final Fantasy XII. While Ivalice was introduced in Final Fantasy Tactics, we really didn't get to explore it all that much there, what with its on-the-rails world map and menu-driven towns. But Final Fantasy XII changed all that. The locations are massive, expansive, and just chock full of tons of things to do, and the towns are all the same way. All of them are pretty great. Arcadia and Bujerba immediately come to mind, but the best of the best is your starting town, Rabanastre. It just feels so alive, with bustling markets and plazas, even as sewers and underground. And despite the harsh environment that surrounds the capital, it does attract a wide variety of people from all walks of life. Uniquely for a JRPG town, it has multiple exits which actually lead to different zones instead of just the same area. It's just like a real-life sprawling urban center. Rabanastre did a great job setting the stage not just for Final Fantasy XII, but for Ivalice as a whole, letting the player know right from the start that they were in for a wild ride. Well, that's it for the top 20 PlayStation 2 towns. If you want to see more videos like this, please check the video description for the top 10 towns lists for all prior systems. I hope that you enjoyed this and you look forward to the top 10 PlayStation 3 towns video coming up soon. This has been David. If you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.